Hi, good evening. My name is Vijay. I have the privilege of meeting Dr. G Satheesh Reddy. Welcome, sir. Dr. Satheesh Reddy is a renowned defense and aerospace scientist, acclaimed for his significant contributions to defense R&D and technology leadership. He is the former chairman of DRDO and Scientific Adviser to Raksha Mantri. Sir, welcome to our podcast.
Nice talking to you.
Absolutely, sir. It's our pleasure. So, you have pioneered the Atmanirbhar Bharat agenda in defense procurement, sir. Would like to know about your journey of from a graduate at JNTU Anantapur to being the scientific advisor to the Raksha Mantri, sir.
As you rightly said, I have done my electronics and communication engineering from JNTU Anantapur. Applied for Space Department, Defense and Atomic Energy. So the first appointment came from Defense. So firstly, I was very clear that I don't want to leave this country. Let me stay back here in the country, work here. Defense gave the opportunity, and luckily God has given me the opportunity to report to Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam here in DRDL, Hyderabad. So went there, and that is the time when Dr. Kalam brought the country the Integrated Guided Missiles Development Program, the first guided missile development for the country, where Prithvi, Agni, Akash, Trishul, Nag were being developed. So there was a very, very serious effort which was going on. Joined there, and that's all. You joined and then went through the flow of the river of this very serious activity which is going on. So never looked back, and it was years and years and years of working along with many great scientists and colleague scientists, day and night efforts, where along with the flow you also have grown in your positions. So at the time when you have become very senior position, the government has appointed me as the scientific advisor to Raksha Mantri in the year 2015. And so my journey in Delhi started. That's all.
Absolutely, sir. You've also been the chairman of the Defense Research and Development Organization. Would love to know your experience and the kind of interventions that you brought into place at the DRDO, sir.
DRDO is one of the outstanding research organizations in the globe. Has brought self-reliance in many areas in the country. It was a proud moment for me. It's a privilege that I was made the chairman of Defense Research and Development Organization. So during my tenure, I brought in a lot of new projects we have taken up, and to make the country a complete Atmanirbhar scheme of development and production partner, making the industry partner during the development has been brought in. And majority of that has gone into the private sector, which earlier used to be only DPSUs. Private sector has been brought in a big way. Then academia has been involved in the research in a big way. Premier academic institutes to work on the defense research, enhance the budget towards that. And so made DRDO, academia, industry work together. So we call it as DRDO Industry and Academia, DIA Centers of Excellence, and took up many projects where the country can become one of the few nations in the world which can have this type of technologies, like a 150 mm artillery gun, or the anti-satellite test, or air-independent propulsion, many other things which have been taken up. And so made the country become self-reliant in most of the areas, and also emerge as one of the leading nations in these technologies in the globe.
So I'm sure historically we have been a net importer of defense equipments. I'm sure you would have come across many challenges when you wanted to making India self-reliant. Could go a bit deeper onto what are the challenges a man of your stature faced?
There are many things in this. Firstly, when you are dependent on somebody, and when there is a resistance to get those things and try to see that the country doesn't become self-reliant. And when you are developing yourself, there will be some time lags. So one is that creates a lot of issues and criticism. Need to face it and need to see that you are able to convince the other people that it needs that much time and you need to develop those things. Second, bringing the whole ecosystem for such, meaning academia, make them understand the defense-related issues and defense-related research, and bring them on board for this research is another thing. The industry was a build-to-print industry, meaning you make the drawing and then as per the drawing they manufacture. That's not the ecosystem working. Industry needs to have some capabilities. They should be able to at least develop or engineer the system, bring them up to that level, and then making the quality systems and bringing the quality in the manufacturing line, advanced manufacturing line, the quality efficiency in the manufacturing, trying to see that the cost of the system is not going very high, and developing the skilled manpower and trying to also ensure the talent stays with you. You are able to attract the talent, and some working on the gaps today, some working in advanced areas, and bringing the balance between this, and try to give the confidence to the armed forces that you are able to develop here in the country and you are getting that capability, and so put in confidence that you will be able to get equipped with state-of-the-art weapons. These are all the various issues what at the top level when you face it, and creating the necessary infrastructure to do such a cutting-edge technologies are some of the challenges what you have faced during your tenure to bring in the Atmanirbhar Bharata into this country.
Absolutely. So what are the key emerging trends that you foresee shaping the future of aerospace and defense industry in India?
Firstly, one is in the aerospace sector. When you talk about aerospace sector specifically, the country needs to have its complete fleet of fighter airplanes developed here in the country. Today, the LCA Mark 1, Mark 1A has been developed. The Air Force has placed order, developed confidence in the system. Now LCA Mark 2 is being developed, which becomes a medium weight fighter aircraft. And the 5th generation fighter aircraft, advanced medium combat aircraft, is also designed. This keeps the country on track on the aircraft development, fighter aircraft development, which includes the advanced 5th generation fighter. But then the gaps are like aero engines. Is one thing which country needs to develop, which calls for many things: the capability to design such systems, the capability in the materials area, the materials development, and the manufacturing capability for such critical elements is one of the things. Similarly, the unmanned aerial vehicles is another important area, wherein medium altitude long endurance systems, long endurance, high altitude long endurance systems hails, and with the necessary payloads which are required for the various surveillances, the endurances of it, and the various subsystems which are required in there, the engines which are required for that, is another area where we need to develop. The country has developed a mail, but then we need to progress quicker in that is another thing. And making unmanned systems of it, the fighter aircrafts today is another area. Unmanned helicopters is another important area. Then space has become the 5th dimension of warfare, wherein the space-based surveillances and the space-based various capabilities of monitoring, surveillance and everything, and also protect yourself from those threats which you face it, are some of the areas where you need to look at it and try to develop the systems in such a way that the industry is able to produce them, and the country is forging ahead in the frontier areas of this.
Absolutely. So how do you envision the role of R&D in fostering innovation and growth in the Indian, you spoke about the aerospace and defense sector, and how startups, sir, can actively contribute to this process?
This one sea change which has come in the country in the last about 5 years. The number of startups have come up in the country. There are more than 1 lakh startups.
Absolutely.
And earlier, the youngsters getting entered into the defense domain was very rare. Now, lots of youngsters are entering into it and trying to work on the defense related. This one sea change we are seeing. Now, if the systems have to be the state of the art or the most advanced technology system, bringing in innovations in this plays a major role. Now, I strongly feel this type of innovations can come from the young minds. And I'm able to see that. 22 years old boys, 24 years old boys are able to come out with many new technologies. They're connected to the space technology, connected to the material technologies, connected to the propulsion technologies, connected to the communication technology. Many things which connected to defense I've seen in the last couple of years, lots of innovations, lots of ideas have come from them. So I strongly believe we will be India will be coming out or emerging itself as coming out with the first of its kind systems and innovations which the world has not seen is through our startups and youngsters. Today you see the drone-based systems are completely captured by the startups and youngsters of this country, no one else. And there are n number of technologies, varieties of innovations we have seen in the drones itself or the drone-based systems, the surveillance systems, the applications for it have been seen. So same thing has to happen in multiple areas now. And I'm sure that that's the main important aspect in country emerging as a leader in these defense technologies.
Sir, based on your experience, what do you think the role of education? Because we primarily see that most of these innovations are very concentrated in the IITs or the IISCs, for example. How do you see what role or what message do you want to give to the Indian education system so that when we look 10 years, 20 years down the line, we should be completely reliant and, like you said, we should be net exporter of defense products than being an importer?
One thing is, last few years, a lot of changes coming out academic institutes and education, particularly the new education policy where a lot of practical knowledge and research knowledge related things have been introduced. Firstly, the academic institutes in the country, not just the IITs, as you rightly said, across the spectrum, we need to have lots of academic institutes and universities which stand as one of the top universities in the world. Unless we have the universities or institutes which are also top ranked in the world, how you can produce a top class, world class system which is very few nations can develop or you need to develop it. And so to have that, fundamentally, academic institutes are the one where the basic research and in the new areas, advanced areas need to happen. And second, the applied research also need to happen. The innovations, of course, as students and things like that coming is one thing which keeps happening, whatever it is. So I feel at least about 30% of the resources of academic institution will focus more on the basic research, and then about 40% or so on the applied research, they should be focused, working at the core areas. So if India has to emerge as a leader in this, we need to come out with such research outcomes which gets converted into technologies before some other country comes. So that in-depth research need to happen in this, and the students naturally will be able to come out with many research papers, many defense technologies and defense-related research PhDs, which will be converting themselves into technologies and systems.
What strategies do you recommend for startups to effectively leverage government initiatives and policies to bolster their presence and impact in the Indian aerospace and defense sector?
For the startups, there are two things. One is focusing on the innovations and technologies is one aspect. Second thing is trying to understand the ecosystem, trying to understand the actual needs of the armed forces, and trying to get into the system like the certification process, testing process, qualification process, standard process and all that, and try to make a system which armed forces feel that, yes, this is the system what I need. That understanding you need to have. So why is working in the lab or working in your own incubation center and working on that is one aspect. There is a lot of importance for the other one where you try to understand the actual system, the need aspect of it, and try to concentrate on that, and leveraging, of course, the facilities which government has given. I'm sure many of them will be knowing what are all the facilities which government has created and support measures which have been given. Try to understand them and effectively use it in a much better way so that you will be able to emerge quickly with the product.
So, any specific initiative that the government has taken to promote the growth of startups in the aerospace and defense sector that you want to highlight, and how these initiatives have contributed to the development of the industry in the past?
If you look into the Ministry of Defense, two important schemes which have come as IDEX and Technology Development Funding are primarily to focus on the innovations in the startup and small scale industries. And there have been funding, there have been mentoring. This is one thing. The test facilities have been opened, and which any startup, any industry can use that sort of a facility and try to promote. And then a lot of features have been created, like turnover, the background of your industry, your startup, in working in the contracts related aspects and all that. Those facilities, the advances and related aspects, also a lot of such support measures have been brought in. And also, once the reasonably the stage of development has come in, the more like assurance in the orders that has been seen. Lots of AON's acceptance or necessity of such product have been taken, which actually gives the confidence to the startups that we are going to get contracts from the armed forces, so that they have a continuity and production line, manufacturing line can be established.
I think we were having this discussion upstairs, and very beautiful thing you said, and it was pointed out by Captain Roy on funding for startup. Like, there's a small element that startups have to contribute themselves. From your experience, or from being somebody who's very close to the government, what are we doing on terms of ensuring that capital access is there for startups, even for the amount quantum that they have to put in from their side?
See, one thing is primarily the government, in the particular scheme of ours, the contribution from the startups is to see that the people are serious. That's how it is. But I do understand that even for people who are serious, and many of them, even to put the matching amount, it's a very difficult thing. So there are many other schemes which are being worked out around that. Like I said, we are encouraging that if the product is going to be good, we are taking the AONs, which gives the confidence that somebody else can invest into it and become investor into these. And we are also giving, as I said, they can join in joint development with the laboratories, which again gives the confidence for the investors to get into it. Or if there is an R&D element connected to it, that R&D element can be separately funded by technology development funding, which also takes some amount of it. But like in technology development funding, it's almost 90% is funded by the government.
Right.
So some of the schemes are coming. So slowly this also will be evolving as serious startups are coming more and more, and this can be adjusted and seen that. Otherwise, you see today, there are many investors who are coming forward to invest into a serious startup.
Not a question, sir, but a thought here. We see that access to capital, access to patient capital, where a lot of R&D has to be done. Ideally, we see that that's where the investor money should ideally be going, but we end up seeing that e-commerce and hyperlocal being funded. Ideally, the money should be going.
That's why we have actually enhanced the technology development funding from 10 crores to 50 crores. And we do understand that in this type of a research, R&D, there's a lot of risk. So, technology development funding is one of the major things which in funding the startups and the small-scale industries to take care of the R&D part of anything. And later, of course, the moment R&D is completed, then they can establish and take other means of support and establish the manufacturing thing. The core R&D part is fully taken care of.
So, what do you think? I mean, what role can incubators like T-Hub can play in your vision of making India self-reliant? And where do you see T-Hub can go from here, sir?
No, first of all, I'd like to say that T-Hub is playing a very important role. I should appreciate when it has come up. See, first of all, if you look at when I have been studying, I was studying my engineering, there are no incubation centers or anything. If I want to establish an industry, then it's a big thing. So I need to look for a place or a factory or a place, hire that or do it and equip it, everything and do. So that means first you need to invest. And now today I don't need anything. I need an idea. I have the place, I have the equipment, everything. You try to see that. And now the hubs like T-Hub are connecting them to the various people, connecting to various organizations, or armed forces, or DRDO, or various government departments, and able to do it. My little more, I feel that little more mentoring, little more technical help wherever it is required, and also providing some more facilities in the government, are like we hear T-Hub, wherein they don't have to go to various laboratories across the country for such test facilities and other things. If such facilities can be created here in the T-Hub itself, the startups can use those facilities within the T-Hub itself. So I'm sure that T-Hub is also thinking in that direction. That's what I had discussions with the CEO. And probably in the coming years, be able to establish those things also.
If I had to ask Dr. G Satheesh Reddy, 40 years, if you have to rewind, what you would have done different, or what you would be doing differently, what you're not doing today?
One is the first 2 decades part of it is we spent ourselves working a lot and trying to develop, let's say, technologies / systems or whatever it is. Probably we should have taken more actively the academia and industries together. And this, whatever 3 decades or 4 decades we have taken, should have done in 2 decades itself, and India should have come to this stage about 2 decades back.
So finally, what advice would you offer to young entrepreneurs and startups aspiring to make an impact in the Indian aerospace and defense sector?
Put yourself confidence in you, focus on a dedicated idea, work on that, and utilize all the opportunities which government is giving and take forward. And also have a good business development plan and good business development mechanism within. Don't just confine with the idea and things like that. Idea is an essential thing, but that is not sufficient alone. So business development. So have confidence, have a target, focus on that idea, and have a good business development plan which works with the ecosystem. And you will be a successful man. And your idea, don't think that or don't work on an idea which is only for our armed forces. It should be a globally competitive idea.
Thank you so much, sir. This is a really good takeaway for all our entrepreneurs out there. It was a pleasure talking to you, and it's a humble. It's a dream come true to speaking with you, sir.
Nice.
Thank you so much.
All the best to you, and all the best to you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.